Hey guys, it's me Jack and I'm back with another review. There are movies that are great, movies that are okay, and movies that are just terrible. But then sometimes you get those special movies. Those movies that really strike a chord with you emotionally. There are plenty of fantastic films, but the truth is many of them, even my favorite films of all time, are not movies that touched me on a personal level. But every once in a while I do get a movie that does. And easily one of, if not the biggest example of that, is Cha-Cha Real Smooth. This is a film that came out back in 2022. And I remember hearing people saying that it was good and I should check it out. But while I was expecting to like the film, I was not expecting to love it. But, well, I loved it. And it's a film that I've always come back to and has always stayed with me. The thing about movies like this that connect with you on a personal level is that it is very subjective. I'm sure there are people out there who watched this movie and were like, yeah, it was good, and then just kind of moved on with their lives. And it didn't strike a chord with them. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody's different. But this movie did that for me, and I want to talk about why. The film centers around a young man named Andrew. While working at a bar mitzvah party, he befriends a mother named Domino and her daughter Lola, who is autistic. And over the course of the film, he becomes very close with them. Andrew is an extremely relatable protagonist for me. Part of it is because his character is 22 years old, and that's how old I was when this movie came out. He's a very likable person, always trying to support others and make sure that they have a good time. But he's also not afraid to stand up to bullies. His character perfectly captures the struggle that me, and I think a lot of other people in their 20s, are going through. The feeling of not really knowing where your life is going, and getting so wrapped up in your future that you forget to enjoy the present. Andrew desperately wants to find love, and when he meets Domino, and they seem to get along really well, he assumes that this is a match made in heaven. But the film ultimately tells you that you shouldn't rush through your life. You have to take things slow and cherish the time that you have now. Because once you get into a relationship and start a family, that becomes your responsibility for the rest of your life. Domino's character shows us the hardship of becoming a parent at such a young age. This is something that really does speak to me, especially right now. I myself am single, and these past few years I've been thinking a lot about finding a girlfriend. And make no mistake, I want that to happen. This film really reminds me that I have to enjoy my life as it is right now, and not spend all my time thinking about the future. The film also has some really well-written dialogue. My favorite is easily the scene where Andrew and Domino talk about depression. And Andrew talks about how his mother struggled with depression. And how she told him that sometimes it's just easier to be sad. Which again is just so relatable. And then he asks why people can't just listen to good people, instead of bad people or their negative thoughts. That's a question I've asked myself a lot. So all this stuff is great, and it's enough to make me really like the movie. But the thing that makes me love this movie is the character of Lola. Now, I am autistic. I was diagnosed when I was about 8 years old, and because of this I did struggle quite a bit in school. Obviously, I'm a big fan of movies. But when it comes to autistic characters in movies, there weren't really that many that I saw. At least not ones that were officially autistic characters. Instead of people just speculating that they're autistic. The only one that I could really think of was Raymond from Rain Man. And while I do really like that movie, it is definitely a product of its time. And it doesn't help that the autistic character is being portrayed by Dustin Hoffman, who is not autistic. And that's the problem with these kinds of performances. When it's an actor that's really famous and you know is not actually autistic, their performance can't help but come off as a bit of a mockery. I know that that absolutely is not the intention. I think it's just a very unavoidable consequence of this kind of casting. So one of the things that instantly made me want to check out this movie was the fact that the actress playing the autistic character in the movie was actually autistic. Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? And that, along with the writing, led to a really great, wonderful portrayal of an autistic person. Again, I see a lot of myself in the character of Lola. More specifically, myself when I was in school. She's very straightforward with her answers. She doesn't always understand sarcasm. There's a scene where Andrew tells her that he nearly beat the shit out of the guy who was picking on her, and she just gives him this look like, oh shit, really? She is often extremely honest, even if it might come off as a bit hurtful towards others. Like when she just straight up asks Andrew why he's at her house. I love the part where the two of them are playing a game together, and she beats him. And again, what she says here sounds like something that I would have said.
I don't understand how you're so good at this game.
I'm not that good. I'm just a lot better than you.
When Andrew first meets them, he asks Domino if it's hard having a daughter who's autistic. And Domino responds by saying this.
Nope. I mean, sometimes. Not because of her.
And all I can say to that is just, thank you. Because that's the thing with autistic people. Our autism is not a problem. The problem is that the world just isn't always very accommodating towards people like us. Lola comes to like Andrew because he doesn't treat her like a baby, which is something that happens to a lot of autistic people. But now I should talk about my favorite scene in this movie. And honestly, it's just one of my favorite scenes in any film. Andrew asks Lola if talking to him is draining for her, and she answers by saying yes, and that she enjoys just relaxing, being in a room by herself. And then we see her in her room, just laying on her bed, and she starts stimming and flapping her arms. She is unapologetically herself. It's honestly just beautiful. And it's all the more beautiful when you find out that the actress Vanessa Burkhart found the scene to be very freeing.
Well, it's not challenging because I do it all the time, but it was in the movie. I was in my bedroom and I flap my hands like that, and I do that all the time, and I'm always jumping and I'm always flapping, but I usually suppress it when I'm around people because I'm afraid of judgment, but I did it in the movie and I felt very free.
The unfortunate thing, though, is that Lola does kind of disappear for the last part of this movie, which is a shame. We don't even get a scene where Andrew says goodbye to her at the end. Still, at the end of the day, Cha-Cha Real Smooth is a really special film for me. It may not be the greatest film of all time, but it's one that I really connected with, and I'm so glad that it exists. I'm sure some of you out there just think of this as a normal good movie. Or maybe you don't like it at all. I don't know. All I know is that I love this film, and I always will.